I'll start out answering that, and then I'll let Carol, who's the expert on that. There is a difference in
Repeat the question,
in
if you
what
would.
what they feed on. I mean, in the wild, the White River is famous for the quality of the catfish, and now our catfish in commercial operations are fed on specialized diets and very good diets. It's scientific. You hardly ever get a catfish anymore that's off flavor, and I think Carol could probably answer this a whole lot better. But I'd say it's diets and age, and there's some other things involved. But Carol could. Do we need to let everybody over here know that
Yeah,
question?
just repeat the question.
He was asking what's the difference between the fish, the natural fish that were in the White River, which, if you don't know, White River is famous for the flavor of the catfish and the quality of catfish, and in what you get from farm-raised catfish.
That's a real interesting question. In fact, I just saw a paper not too long ago that went out and compared the genetics of wild catfish with the genetics of farm-raised catfish. The farm-raised catfish industry started here in Arkansas back in the 1950s, and so we have over 50 years now of domestic selection on farms. The catfish raised on farms really are domestic livestock these days and are not wild fish. This paper I just read not too long ago showed the divergence, and you can tell a farm-raised fish genetically is distinct from a wild fish these days. Now, some of the things behaviorally, a catfish from the wild, fish are smarter than we give them a lot of credit for, and they'll find the food. On farms, even a fish that is normally naturally a bottom feeder, when the feed is applied to the surface, which is what happens on a commercial farm, they apply a floating pellet that's extruded just like our breakfast cereal is so that it floats. And so an extruded pellet like that is only on the surface of the water. It doesn't take catfish long. They smell it. They're right there. So they're feeding on the surface. All of the food that they're eating in the ponds, because of the way that they're raised, is a soybean-based diet. So it's basically a grain-based diet. There's virtually no fish meal used in catfish diets any longer, so they get their protein from soybean meal and from wheat and from other grains in the diet. So their diets are very, very distinct. Their behavior is changing as well. They've become a lot more docile than fish from the wild. Their diseases are more controlled and other sorts of things. So they are distinct. They really are domestic livestock. There are different strains of catfish that are used on different farms these days. We hear about, Hereford cows. We know about different kinds of strains of cows and pigs and other kinds of livestock. Well, just like that with catfish, we have distinct strains that are, certain strains are better at certain kinds of things than others, and they're distinct. And there have been crosses. There have been some new genetically selected strains right now that have been released from USDA and others that are known for certain characteristics. There's some hybrid production there. So we're really talking about a domestic livestock industry right now. The fish are very different from wild fish.
Did they, when they started farming, did they find a way to help with the small bones that were in the catfish originally? Or is that just
no one's been able to change the bones. In a catfish, they just cut the fillet off the side of it. But what's happened is because they're grown under controlled conditions and they're fed a nutritionally complete diet and an optimal diet for growth, these fish put on a lot of muscle. The nutritionists over years know what kind of diet it takes to produce a lean catfish as compared to a fattier catfish. So, they want to produce a lean product for the market, and so over time these fish have, between the diets and the genetic selection, are putting on a lot of fillet meat on the sides. So the fillets are cut so that there are no bones.